And once again, it's time to look back at George, which is still causing problems early on this Wednesday morning with heavy rains and the risk of some severe weather in the southeast. We'll update your forecast too and look ahead to this coming weekend, the first weekend in October. Thanks for tuning in. First, though, a look at some of the damage from George, which came on shore as a hurricane. And as a result, well, I guess we don't have the pictures, do we? Do we have the video? Okay, there we go. There's the Pensacola video. And it will be a long time before the beaches here in the Florida Panhandle fully recover from this hurricane. This is Pensacola, where boardwalks covered by sand and piers suspended over washed out dunes are everywhere. Officials are still totaling the damage from the storm. Obviously, it's going to be running well into the millions of dollars, and some of that serious beach erosion you can see there. Meanwhile, we move to Gulfport, Mississippi, and quite a bit of wind damage from Hurricane George. Now the long process of cleaning up and rebuilding. Thousands are still without power in Biloxi, and it will be at least several more days before the services are fully restored as we travel there along the coast there, and even some damage to some of the casinos. Let's take a look at what's going on with the system now, and then we'll update your forecast overnight and look down the road. And you can see there's a lot of dry air wrapping back towards the areas which have been hit hard by Hurricane George, which came on shore right about here early on Monday morning. Those of you in New Orleans, not as bad as it could have been by a long shot. Same goes for Miami, but in this area it was devastating with those 100-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts, up to 2 feet of rain, and the flooding still continues, especially on some of the rivers. Now the system is gradually moving off to the east, northeast, and that rain is spreading into the Carolinas early Wednesday morning. As far as rainfall totals, substantial by far. We'll take a look at those, and you can see over 18 inches of rain in Crestview, Florida. Pensacola, nearly 15 inches, but we had some unofficial reports in the Florida Panhandle as much as 25 inches of rain. And here's a national shot. This is about the only game in town as far as causing any serious problems. Had a couple showers breaking out late Tuesday night in New England, and the severe weather going gangbusters across parts of the high plains into around the KC area. That'll be one area we'll focus in on, some wet highways and some gusty winds overnight. Middle of the country, again, watch out in parts of Georgia and South Carolina and Florida. Some of the storms may produce an isolated tornado or two, but we're not expecting any widespread outbreak of severe weather in that part of the country. Morning fog prevalent Midwest to the Appalachians. This is something you commonly see here in September and October, the foggiest months of the year, especially in the Appalachian Mountains, and a little fog on the West Coast and into Southern California. Check the wind out, not a whole lot of problems. Still a bit gusty across the beaches, Destin, Panama City, and Pensacola, and some wind too in the upper Midwest, through the northern plains and back into the front range. Some of these winds will certainly be increasing as we get the sunshine on as we get into the later hours of Wednesday morning. Now the other story continues to be the heat in the southern plains. Another record-setting day for those of you in Houston. It just won't go away. 95 in Houston, 95 in Galveston, a lot of humidity around. And we can show you that the southern plains are still baking after a very long hot summer. 96 in the Big D. It's almost the 1st of October. A little bit cooler in Chicago at 73. Wonderful weather in the Northeast. Fall weather, leaf peeping, late September, early October. That's when they peak. And this will be a good weekend to check them out. Dodge the rainfall in the New England states. And 85 in Vegas. As far as above average temperatures, most of us having a warmer than average late September afternoon. That just means that we can't go without the air conditioning, especially in Oklahoma City, Dallas, Houston, Waco, through Austin. A very warm, very hot, steamy day, I should say, and it won't be getting much cooler anytime soon. However, if you travel north and west, there's your cool weather, there's your fall weather. Not quite as chilly tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning in New England as it has been. This front will be approaching with a couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm later in the afternoon towards Portland and Bangor. Meanwhile, the real push of cool fall air is here. Autumnal weather will be moving east, but not too far south, so we can't hold a whole lot of hope for those of you in the Big D for a nice, comfortable cool down in the foreseeable future. What's left of George continues to spread the rains into the eastern seaboard. Even maybe a shower in the morning around Washington and Baltimore. We've got some storms too through the Carolinas and Georgia, and there could still be some local reports of severe weather, and of course we'll keep you updated with the latest warnings out of the Weather Service offices in those areas. But notice the big push of cool fall weather diving down. The winds come around the base of the high and upslope The air rises as the elevation increases here, so we get the rainfall from Casper and Cheyenne down towards Denver and Fort Collins along the Front Range along I-25. At least it will be rain and not snow. Here comes the next system out of the west, and ahead of that, the flow of moisture, the instability with the front, and some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Additional rainfall will be on the hefty side, locally 4 more inches. General rainfall amounts have been running 2 to 4 inches on Monday night, and rather I should say Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So it could be some localized flooding, especially in east central Georgia, but not as bad as it was by far compared to your neighbors south and west out through the Florida Panhandle and the Gulf Coast. Another hot day in the plains, no doubt about it, more 90-degree heat. Heat index, well, we'll skip that one. We'll move right into Thursday's highs and notice temperatures very, very chilly, 40s and 50s for highs behind the front. Ahead of the front, 90s. Now, we'll cool down a little bit, especially those of you watching from Oklahoma City and Tulsa as we get into the weekend. But also as we get into the tail end of the weekend, we'll see the 90s coming back up. Pacific Northwest, Northern Rockies chilly, and look at this. More fall weather, good football weather, Friday night and Saturday in the New England states, back through the Great Lakes around Chicago, Detroit, up towards Ann Arbor and Sault Ste. Marie. But another summery weekend for those of you in Texas and the Gulf Coast. Another good beach and pool weekend. Showers and thunderstorms. What's left of the moisture from George in the southeast on Thursday. Then we bring that system in the western states into mid-America in the plains. Next front sets up, and notice the New England states in the northeast down towards the Carolinas. A dry start to the weekend, and it should stay dry in through Saturday and Sunday. However, we'll start to bring the showers and thunderstorms back towards the Ohio Valley. Boy, you don't need to see any more rain along the Gulf Coast, and we will have our next front bringing some showers through the western plains. The west coast stays dry. Stay tuned. Your local forecast is coming up in just a few minutes, but first we take a break now and check these extended forecasts, beginning with Atlanta, Georgia.
There's something about the weather that affects everybody. Every day is new. We tell you about the weather right now. How will it affect where you're headed? What about your plans? People count on us to get them through the day. I love that. That's why we're there.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel. I'm Marshall Cease and Bruce Edwards, both of us back at the Out of the Forecast Center.
It's
finally,
nice. It's nice.
It's been 2 weeks almost. We've been about 10 days.
At least 2 weeks. My derriere was glued to the update desk for about 2 weeks. We still haven't gotten rid of the remnants of that pesky hurricane. It's still causing some problems in the southeast this morning, and will for about the next 24 36 hours. Then I think we'll finally be done with it.
Good riddance.
Yeah, to bad rubbish. Let's take a look at it. Water vapor imagery cranks up and goes into motion. And as we look at the situation, you can see the moisture still associated with the remnants of George moving over the southeast, still capable of producing some severe weather and some heavy downpours in North Florida, South Georgia, and into the Carolinas as this system moves through. Frontal system bringing some moisture on through the Appalachians and the eastern lakes. We have some big storms into Kansas this morning with the next system. You can see a lot of moisture here also if you look at a low pressure area swirling here in the Great Basin, stirring up some showers as well. Let's take a look at the particulars now. Here's the big picture early this morning. We see the remnants of George. Frontal system in the eastern lakes, one in the northern plains, and this low here. So real messy looking last day of September, isn't it? It sure is. Well, as that system edges to the east, we're seeing some scattered light showers, primarily in the upstate of New York coming off the lakes. Nothing real heavy here, but some lighter rains nonetheless scattered to the north. And then with the old dying front here, and a little upper level system, there's a few showers around the Laurel Highlands of Pennsylvania, and then you pick it back up into the Carolinas again. There's some fog around northern sections of Indiana, western Michigan, and up around right under Wisconsin this morning. Here's a look at the radar, and let's start here in the Northland. You can see up towards Caribou. Now watch this little batch of moisture. It'll kick into motion, and we see the showers marching across the upstate of New York. Everything here is sliding on towards the east at about 25 to 30 miles an hour. So light showers into Syracuse now, so the New York State Thruway heading over towards Albany. Will be a little on the wet side up towards Glens Falls, a few showers. But again, nothing real heavy. Generally, it's light rain steadily moving off to the east. Now, you get a bit of a break in the action over north central Pennsylvania. But once again, you get around the Laurel Highlands, there are some rain showers here, a little embedded rumble of thunder or two. Some thunderstorms moving off the tidewater of Virginia. Still some rain lingers back to Richmond, Norfolk, and Newport News as everything is heading off to the east at about 25 to 30. The numbers, well, they're cool, as typical this time of year. 56 in Boston, 55 in Albany, 63 in New York right now. Still mild in D.C. at 68, Pittsburgh at 60, Detroit 62, so really not all that bad. Southbound, again, 70-degree temperatures once again prevail across the region as we find a 70 in Atlanta with some showers in the south side. 80, though, in Miami is definitely warm. But again, the remnants of George still swirling about here, stirring up some heavier rains in central and southern Georgia, northern Florida, and the possibility, the threat for potentially seeing some tornadic activity. So a tornado watch remains in effect till 10 a.m. Eastern time for southeastern Georgia and northeastern Florida. We're talking Jacksonville, St. Simon's Island, Brunswick, Alma, Waycross area, back over towards Lake City. So be careful in these regions here. We got some nasty storms. Here we can see from Richmond and Norfolk, Virginia, extending on to Raleigh, Durham, and Tobacco Road over towards Charlotte and over to Fayetteville. Some wet weather here as the system slides to the east. Once again, this isn't really anything to do with George here, just a little old frontal boundary here and some moisture. Now once we get in towards Columbia, South Carolina, this is the remnants of George back in towards Savannah, Georgia, the Alma, Waycross area, some moderate to heavier downpours. Here's the radar, and you get around Waycross and down towards White House, Florida, and over towards Lake City, some showers and embedded thunderstorms here. This is the area we could see some severe weather. Everything is drifting on towards the north. Pick it up again, you see once again working down towards Lake City, Florida, and over towards Cross City and Cedar Key, some thunderstorms here. The rain has ended in the Florida Panhandle, but still up around Tallahassee, back towards Port St. Joe. You pick up some wet weather this morning. Northbound we go. Here comes your frontal system once again. That's triggering a batch of rain in the Dakotas and Minnesota, and this low is triggering thunderstorms into Kansas. Some of those are a little ugly. Here's a look at the wet weather extending from the arrowhead of Minnesota, Duluth, and back over to Fargo. So I-94 is wet in spots as everything here continues to slide on towards the east at about 25 to 30 once again. Heavier downpours around Thief River Falls. Then as we work our way south into Kansas, you can see up through Russell and Salina, Kansas, swinging on back over towards Kansas City, some rain and some storms. But in Maurice County in central Missouri and in eastern Miller County in central Missouri, with these storms right here south of Columbia, severe thunderstorm warning until 4:50 this morning. Winds in excess of 60 miles an hour and hail the size of quarters reported with these storms. So these are ugly. It is severe right through here south of Columbia, and then you get to this other batch into Russell, and everything is working its way on eastbound. The numbers south of our low is mild 70 in St. Louis. To the north, we get as cool as 45 in Minot, 37 in Marquette, 59 Chicago, 66 in the best location in the nation, Cleveland, Ohio. Should be another nice day for baseball today, this afternoon at the Jake for the playoff game, by the way. Southbound and in the west, we find some 40s and 50s in the Intermountain region, 77 around Phoenix for the warm spot. But this low in the Great Basin stirring up some showers and thunderstorms here, but mainly some rain showers back up into the basin over towards Elko and Ely. Nothing too heavy, but you get back into the foothills of the Rockies east of Albuquerque up to Clayton and Las Vegas. There is some wet weather here as well. Let's put it all back together. There's your current weather. Now your forecast for your Wednesday, last day of September. Here's Marshall.
Thanks, Bruce. That's right. Tomorrow's first day of October. I want to remind you, too, that this Weather Center is sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. Big high pressure building in behind this front. That means cold air for you in the northern plains over the next couple of days. Means upslope rains for those in the Intermountain region. Means severe weather possible this afternoon for the central plains with plenty of moisture working into this region. But the remnants of George will be robbing this system of moisture. So the showers and thunderstorms will be light and few and far between West Virginia and Pennsylvania later today. This evening, look for some heavy rain around Savannah and Charleston, Myrtle Beach, the Grand Strand. In Chicago, you could see some afternoon thunderstorms for your evening commute. Some of those could be very strong. Heaviest rain will be in Missouri, also over along the east coast of South Carolina and Georgia. Still going to see temperatures in the 90s in Texas today as well. Look for these rain showers to be very light that are moving through the northeast this morning. Some morning showers, too, around Philadelphia, Washington, and Baltimore could be making your morning commute a little rough. A lot of sunshine finally drying out some of those folks in southern Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama today to help some of the cleanup efforts and get some of the power restored for folks and try to dry some of it out.
That's right. But if you're heading to work this morning, we got to look at the highways, heading to the office.
Coming up next on Travel Wise.
This program was sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
Every day, more people are choosing Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse, and here's why.
Fall is for planting, and Lowe's has everything you need for your lawn and garden.
Fertilizers, bulbs, grass seed, mums.
A jungle's worth of trees and shrubs.
All back for a full year. Plus everyday low prices guaranteed.
Ask a nursery specialist.
A Lowe's nursery specialist. We really know our stuff.
After all, you can't spell flowers without Lowe's. When it comes to home improvement,
Lowe's knows.
They are the most environmentally vulnerable of all living things. To commit to their future is to commit to ours. Southern Company, America's largest generator of electricity, is planting 20 million trees and pioneering the use of electric vehicles, all in a commitment to cleaner air. So as they take flight into the future, we'll be down here, helping to keep the environment clean and the power on. We are Southern Company, energy to serve your world.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel. I'm Marshall Cease. It's 10 minutes before the top of the hour. You're tuned just in time for Storm Watch. We'll tell you where we can expect severe weather today. It's occurring already this morning, and we'll also give you a full tropical briefing. Finally, we're dealing with the remnants of George rather than a tropical depression or tropical storm or a hurricane. And George certainly left an impact across the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico and making landfall near Ocean Springs with 174-mile-per-hour gusts. That's what's left of it, what you see on your screen, the remnants of George. Circulation right in this region, just over the panhandle of Florida, right near Alabama and Florida. And there's still plenty of moisture being pumped into the system. And because we still have strong winds at the mid-levels of the atmosphere, we have a shearing environment that's capable of producing supercells and tornadoes. And indeed, this morning we have had tornado warnings already. Suwannee County is one of those counties in northern Florida. Hamilton County, another one of those counties in Florida. That's right around Interstate 10 and Interstate 75 where they come together. And we could see more of this as the day goes on today. There's your center of circulation. There's a trough that extends to the south and west from that system. And heavy rain is still expected along the Carolina coastline and the Georgia coast. There are coastal flood advisories that are still in effect from Apalachicola, Florida to Homosassa Bay, right along the coastal bend on the west side of Florida. And tornado watches still in effect as well for portions of northern Florida and Georgia. Here's what it looks like from a radar standpoint. Heaviest rain from Savannah, Georgia southward to Fernandina Beach, and then a line of thunderstorms that extends across Interstate 10 and Interstate 75. Also some heavy rain in southwest Georgia, and you can see the circulation or you can see the rotation around the center circulation over the panhandle of Florida. I put in here a precipitation total just for the last 24 hours extending back to 8 o'clock yesterday, and you can see that there were still 5 to 6 inches of rain that's fallen just in the last 22 hours or so. And heavier rain now beginning to add up south of Augusta, Georgia, and to the west, or in eastern Georgia for the most part, but to the east, to the west of the coast, probably about 50 miles. Savannah getting heavy rain, another area of heavy rain headed toward Charleston, South Carolina. Myrtle Beach, you'll start seeing some of that rain too, so will the east coast of North Carolina as the day goes on today. There is some drying out here to the west, though. That's the best news because we'll begin to see some drying. It's going to help some of the crews get out there and get some of those power lines back where they should be, some power restored to folks still without power, dry out some of the homes from the flooding victims along the coast, and enable some of those big plows to put some of that sand back where it's supposed to be, which is on the beach. Heavy rain had fallen along the coast, as you know. Crestview, Florida, for example, 18 inches of rain. We've also had reports for more unofficial locations of some 30 inches of rain over the storm totals along the Gulf Coast, mostly around the Pensacola area, and Pensacola and Gulfport and Biloxi. That will continue to move to the east. Now, it's not expected to regenerate once it gets off the coast, but sometimes these things can happen. We'll be watching it closely for you. We also have a wave out here in the Atlantic that looks like it's encountering some westerly shear, so it'll have to fight that over the next couple of days. We still have a Tropical Storm Jeanne. Tropical Storm Jeanne is headed for the Azores now. It's centered at 37.4 north, 31.5 west, 255 miles west-southwest of Deshieta in the Azores, and winds at 50 miles per hour, moving east-northeast at 13, barometric pressure 1,000 millibars. So if you intend to trip over there, you know some folks that are in the Azores, that could present a relatively short-lived problem for them because it's moving pretty rapidly. Out here, we've got Jeanne, a tropical storm now that made landfall in South Korea. It looks like it's going to be back over Japan, perhaps, with some strong winds for Japan. Severe weather today is likely in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and northern Arkansas, and severe weather in Georgia, northern Florida, and South Carolina. This due to the remnants of George, this due to the impact of low pressure moving across the mid-Mississippi Valley. There are severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Miller County right now in Missouri, and we also have a tornado warning in Florida.
Tropical weather systems are affected by so many variables. We constantly monitor the situation. If someone is safer by watching the Weather Channel, that's what it's all about.
Witness the power of the tarot.
With over 22 years of tarot experience, I have witnessed amazing changes. As an expert in this ancient oracle that dates back thousands of years, I will tell you everything you should know. Call now and you will be dealt your very own special tarot cards. Be prepared for an extremely accurate and revealing reading. Tarot cards should not be underestimated.